to all our viewers. We welcome you to another. We're glad that you could make it to join us today on the episode. We'll be looking at quite an interesting topic. But before we go into our discourse for today, my name is Janet Michael, the Director for Media and Information, Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. And I have here with me Ambassador Joshua Tahule. Ambassador, you're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Janet. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. So we will be having others join us as we discuss this topic. We have Mrs. Esther from the United for Peace Initiative, and also someone else will be joining us so we can have a robust discussion on the topic, the planned August mass protest. It is no longer news that there is a nationwide protest scheduled for 1st of August, which is in few days' time. So we'll be looking at the challenges and effects on national peace. So our viewers would love to hear from you. We would love to have you in this conversation. So do well to join us and let us know what you think about this topic on the planned August mass protest, the demands, the challenges, and also the effects on national peace. So Ambassador Joshua, once again, thank you for joining us on today's episode.
It's a pleasure, Janet. Welcome. Thank you.
All right, so before we go in depth into our discussion for today, we would just love to have, a background of what exactly a protest is. We'll also be looking at is protest lawful, talking about what the Constitution says about protest, especially in our nation, Nigeria, because this is the focus we are having for today's topic. So we would love to hear from you, just briefly what you think about a protest, what is a protest all about, and what it entails.
Well, Janet, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this discussion. It is a discussion that worries every heart that has concern for the country and for the nation. For us, as that have come a long way in this country, and we have witnessed past protests or movement like this, it's called for serious sober reflection and concerns. But protest is a legal instrument that the people and the people generally or an individual used to convey is a rejection or grievances or perspective on certain matters that they don't want. And it comes in different dimensions. Do you understand? Come as a strikes, come as sometimes mass protests like the one we are talking about here today. And then people go on strike, sit-ins. Do you understand? Like something that we used to see in the southeast, they say sit at home. It's also one way of protest. Do you understand? So people protest in different dimensions. Depends on what they want to convey and the message they want to convey. Do you understand? And so protest is a legal instrument that people use to say no to certain things that they don't want, or they want to see a change in a particular policy or program or government that they are not interested or it's not impacting them well. And so they initiate a protest to see that they can express their rejection very well. And it's one of the tenets of democracy. It's one of the tenets of democracy because it facilitates the democratic principles that says there's a freedom of expression. Do you understand? Freedom of association, freedom of assembly. So as a result of that, and even the Nigerian Constitution, if you look at chapter 4, section 40, has given Nigerians the authority to gather, to assemble, to associate. So by the virtue of that provisions, they have the authority, the general masses have the authority to go out, assemble, gather, express their feeling, rejections, and how they are feeling. So it's not something that is outside of the constitutions. It's just that whatever freedom you have also have some level of limitations here and there. There are certain restrictions that you have to, because as you are going out to protest, nobody is going to stop you from protesting, which is your fundamental human right. That's fine. But at the same time, you have also the responsibility and the obligation to maintain law and orderliness in your protest. So that's another responsibility. So, but from history, it has not been so smooth. Protest in our country has not been smooth as experience in other environments. So when we say we are going to have a protest, then it calls for concern because people are worried because we have witnessed violent protests and that resulted in the death of people, sometimes armed militias, property vandalism, destructions, and all of that. So we have seen a lot of things that happen in the past. So whenever there's an issue like this, it calls for concern. And I think that's why people are making so much effort to make sure that the protests do not take place. But by and large, in a summary form, those that want to protest, they have the right to protest. But the question now we are asking is, can it be without violence based on the past history? These are the issues that we are here to look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Joshua Tahule, for that. You know, a lot of people do not know that protest is actually constitutional. Just like you said, it's a public demonstration of objection, disapproval. You know, it's a way of the people, for the people to air their views concerning certain matters that has to do with the government or the way the country or the particular region is being governed. So a lot of people, when they hear protest, they feel, oh, it's not constitutional. You're going against your the government, you're going against your leaders and the likes of them. So it's actually necessary that people get to understand that protest is actually constitutional. You made mention of the rights for peaceful assembly and association in Chapter 4, Section 30 of the Constitution. So as we proceed, we will be looking at what the August 1st protest is all about. We have it all over social media. You know, it is no longer news. The youth, the young people, in fact, almost everybody everybody feels like there should actually be a protest, but there are no enough people who are in support of that protest. But majorly, we see the young people clamoring for the protest, and we've seen hashtags on social media, the End Bad Governance. We have seen several of them, Days of Rage, Take It Back, you know. So, but what can you say is, in totality, is the main focus of the August 1st protest? We know that, the protest that happened years back, the NSAS protest, it was, they had so many issues, and we knew the central focus of that protest. So what about this August 1st protest? What do you think is the central issue here?
All right, Shelley, thank you very much. The organizers of the protest, which we don't know who they are, but we believe that they have a message. And the message is very simple: bad governance. And bad governance is not just a problem in Nigeria. Bad governance is a problem in the whole of Africa. Okay, we have just some few African countries that have been doing well to see that their countries are moving forward. If you look at the likes of Kenya, you can see the kind of protest that's going in Kenya. It's one example of bad governance that we are talking about here. Right? When people's opinion, when the electorate, then the people that voted you into power cannot be heard. When the government is refusing to have a listening ear, then that is where a problem is. One of the bad elements of governance, where leadership refuse to listen to the followers. Do you understand? So, but you want the followers to listen to you, but you don't want to listen to the yearnings of the followers. So it's an element of bad governance. You understand? So bad governance has been a problem, and bad governance comes in different dimensions: economic policies, corruption, brutality from the instrumentality of government, and so many other abuses of government authorities and offices and all of that. So it has been part of what we have been agitating for, both those that go on the street to protest and those that stay in their offices. But I don't know whether this protest will happen, but if it happens, then I will not. I wouldn't want to call it karma, because it's part of our lives that at some point people have to struggle for something, agitate for something, protest for something. based on the fact that it's not going the way they expected. Because if you look at it very critically, those that are in government today were on the street sometimes in the past protesting. So does it mean that they're just harvesting what they sow, or they're reaping what they sow? Is that what it means? So that's not actually what it means, because at the time when you look at when they were protesting compared to what it is today, you will discover that those days it was even better, far better off than what it is today, and they were on the street protesting. And then the very things that they were against of are the very things that we are experiencing in their own administration. So what do we protest? And what's the essence of the protest in the first place? If you were once protesting against bad governance, and now you have the opportunity to be in government, and the same bad governance continues, then what's the essence of the protest in the first place? So now, does it mean that people are organizing for protest simply because they have hidden interests that we are not aware of? They just want the government to change and favor them. That's why they are organizing the protest, or they are genuinely concerned about the state of the nation that they are organizing this protest. Because the truth of the matter is that there are issues that needs to be addressed in the country, economic issues, and the standard of living of the people in this country, the political system, and also needs some kind of reform. The judicial system needs kind of reforms. You understand? So all of this institution needs one way of reform of the order. Now, are these genuine concerns, or do we have people from the background who don't want to show their faces, but are just trying to influence a protest so that there can be a change or there can be a disruption in governance, and then make it appear as if this government cannot do anything, and then at the end of the day crave for change, and then at the end of the day create a change, and then the change will come and still suffering continues, because we were craving for change when we were actually living a comfortable life, I must say. Do you understand? It's as if we're living a comfortable life, but we wanted change, and the change happened to us. And I can tell you that for the past 9 years of the change, everybody is feeling the change. I don't know if we can reverse time. Maybe people would have said, let's go back to those old days. You understand? Let us return back to the old days. You understand? But that has gone. So we are dealing with the reality now. So let's face the reality and manage and deal with it. So I think the whole essence of this protest is about bad governance. Do you understand? So bad governance is the issue here. And so we'll begin to look at different factors that, bring about bad governance. So when we go into several form of discussion, I will begin to look at some of those things that the protesters are going to look into, or are going to demand for from the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua. You've actually spoken a lot on this. The end bad governance, just like you said, it is not only in this nation. We have seen bad governance across African nations and across the nations of the world. We have had issues like that. But the issue with our country, it's actually one that it's actually quite alarming. Just like you said, for the past 9 years, we knew how things were beforehand, and considering the present situation where people are finding it difficult to survive on a daily basis, there's anger among the people, especially the younger generation. So you also spoke about, getting to know those who are spearheading this movement, the movement for the protest, and it is no news that the government is also interested to know who are the sponsors, who are the individuals. They need names behind those, who are pushing forward the protest. A lot of people have come out to say, oh, it is over 200 million people. It is a national situation. There's no need, for people to give out names on those who are spearheading the movement. What do you think about this? Do you think we should? It is necessary for us to know the sponsors or those who are spearheading this protest, or we should just move on to like, okay, it is everybody, that level of vagueness. What do you think about this?
Janet, thank you so much. You see, we are in a country where there are complex issues to address. Do you understand? And so, in order to avoid victimization, uh, it's better to remain behind and influence whatever you can influence, so that no one can come out and say that it's not an act of it's not an act of you know, shying away from your responsibility as a citizen of this country to come out boldly and say, yes, I am part of those that are organizing this thing. But the problem is that we are living in an environment whereby we do victimize people. They are doing something not because they target you as an individual or they want to destroy your administration, but the administration may end up pushing certain individuals simply because they feel that they are out there to sabotage their governance effort. Do you understand? So, and I think that's the reason why those that are even behind the whole move are refusing to come out and say that, oh, we are the ones responsible. It's like they want to use the NSAS platform, that kind of pattern to pass on their message. Do you understand? During the NSAS protest, they refused to also identify themselves as the organizers. Nobody came out and said that, oh, we are the leaders. Even government was calling for a dialogue. They say no, it's just the people that are affected, the people that have been, suffering. There were police, SARS brutalities and all of that. They are the ones that are protesting. And actually, those that were not also victims directly were on the street. Do you understand? Because it was a concern. If you refuse to come out today, tomorrow it will be you. So, but this case now, I don't know whether someone is not. Everybody is affected. Do you understand? Except those that maybe are in the government in one way or the other, that are seeing free money, that may not be complaining. But the market where we buy, and I believe they are also buying, is the same market. The only thing is that the earnings differs. So maybe their own earning is different. That is why they are still not too bothered about the situation of things, because their earning differs. But those that are not earning well, and which are in the majority, I think they will find this protest a good avenue to express their feelings. And because some of them may not even have the opportunity to come and sit on a line, on a platform like this, and be communicating to the people to listen to what they have to say. So the only way they can express their feelings and their concern is when they go on the street and march. Do you understand? And then their voices may be heard, maybe. So, but the reason why I believe those that are behind this whole thing don't want to show face is because they don't want to be victimized, because because it may be turned into a different thing. If it's a Christian, they may say, oh, it's because it's a Muslim government. That is why the Christian want to destroy it. If it's an Igbo man, they will say, it's because it's a Yoruba man that is in government. That's why Igbo man want to destroy it. And if it is a Hausa man, they will say, oh, when Buhari was there, nobody disturbed you people. Now it's time and the Yorubas, you want to disrupt. Do you understand? So this kind of situation and stereotyping and then accusation may begin to arise, and it may cause more problems to the government and even the society at large. So I think it's better if they can be able to communicate themselves and understand the message and the direction of things where they want the protest to flow, just like the NSAS were doing, but they were able to coordinate certain things to certain level before the unfortunate incident began to happen. I think it's better to stay that way than to show face, and then at the end of the day, being SS following you up, military, police, everybody following you up to say that, okay, you are the one that is causing confusion and disturbances, and you don't want us to have a free, smooth administration and all of that. So to avoid all of that and certain other accusations that may arise as a result of this protest, it's better they should remain where they are. We don't want to know their faces. Even there's no need that government will also want to know their faces. Must you know the faces of those that are having concern before you know that there's a problem? The problem is that the environment itself shows that there's a problem. The economy is reflecting the problem. Do you understand? So you don't need to look anybody into the first and know that this is the person that's responsible before you know that, okay, there's a message. Just before, focus on the message. What these people are demanding for, does it make sense? Is it something we should look into? If they say we want fuel reduction, okay, from 600 or from 700 to 100, does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense because it was less than that before APC took over. So, or it was something less than that, or something close to that, or something just above that. Do you understand? So, you are taking it too far, return it. Do you understand? So, it's something to consider. Because the whole removal of the subsidy was removed without any form of plan. They just announced it, and then without any form of mitigation put in place to see mechanism put in place to mitigate the impact of the removal of the subsidy. Nothing. They just announced it and then started that kind of operation. So it had landed so many people into so many troubles. And I think this grievances and so many other activities that are making people to come out and say there's a need for us to have a platform where we can express ourselves and the way we feel. And I think that's the reason why this protest is coming up. But the reason why the organizers or those that are the brain behind the whole stuff don't want to come out is simply because they feel that at the end of the day they'll be victimized, despite the fact that they are not particularly against anybody, they are just against the bad governance. But at the end of the day, they may become a target because they will feel as if the people in government may feel as if it's because they are not they are not the ones in government. They want to frustrate them. They want to embarrass them, disturb their governance, and all of that. So I think this is one of the reasons why they don't want to show face.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Joshua. So once again, to our viewers, we are glad you could join us. We would love to know what you think about this conversation. So we are discussing the planned August mass protest. We are talking about the demands, the challenges, and also the effects on national peace. So once again, thank you, Ambassador Joshua. As we proceed, we will be looking at, we have looked at what a protest is, the constitutional backing on the protest, and also what the August 1st protest is all about. We'll be moving forward to look at the demands of the protesters. So right away, we'll be looking at this. So the protesters have come up to say they have several demands, and they have done well to itemize these demands. As you can see, we are currently projecting this to our viewers, and I hope everyone can see the screen. So the hashtag 2024 August 1st protest, it says from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily until our demands are met. The hashtag is End Bad Governance, and it's covering all the 36 states, including the FCT. It also says that during this protest, if one protester is killed, named, or arrested, we will not back down until Tinubu and his entire cabinet steps down. So just a run through of an extract from their demands. Their desire to revert petrol pump price to 100 naira per litre, to combat insecurity and hunger, close all IDP camps and resettle the campus. The third is total electoral reform and an independent probe into the electoral budget of 355 billion naira. The fourth is the immediate release of all the NSAS protesters still in detention. The fifth here is the implementation of a living wage, which is the minimum of 300,000 naira. The sixth is compulsory free education from primary to secondary school and education grant at tertiary levels. For number 7, we have children of all public office holders must attend public schools in the country. The 8th, we have government must patronize made in Nigeria goods. The 9th, transition to a unicameral legislature. And then the 10th, which is the last, is the judicial and constitutional reforms. So Ambassador Joshua, this is just a run through of the demands of the protestants. So how do you react to these demands, and what are your thoughts towards it?
Janet, thank you very much. The demands are they are quite in place. They are not outside what is expected that everyone should see. And I can say that the demands are achievable. It's possible. It's something that can be achieved. But at the same time, maybe they may not be achieved at once as may be expected. But if there's a kind of a plan in place, all of these things are achievable. It's not something that is not obtainable somewhere. It's obtainable in other countries, even in some other African countries here. Some of these things are being enjoyed. Why is it that we cannot enjoy it? We have certain resources that we should be enjoying ourselves here. We shouldn't be suffering, if not mismanagement and all other stuff like that. And then the inability to also cherish what we have, do you understand, is also another problem. So, and then also inability to improve our own to be better is also some of the challenges we are having. But I can tell you that the demands are right in place. They are quite relevant to the suffering and the expectations of the general public, population in Nigeria. The people have endured some certain things for a while, and they say that even a goat, if you continue to just handle a goat to a point, it will bite you. But ordinary goat doesn't bite, right? So Nigerians have been patient, and they are the most happiest people in the world. I can tell you, if other countries can go through what Nigeria does go through, you see there was so much depression and so much killing and so much activities going on. But Nigeria has been, tolerating their leaders and the governance, several administrations that have governed us in this country. They have tolerated them, they have considered them. They will come and say, give us opportunity. 1 year is not enough to do something, or 2 years will come and go, 3 years gone, full term gone, another term, 8 years gone, no change. Do you understand? And then, so it's as if Nigerian felt that our leaders have been manipulating us. They have been playing over our intelligence. So now it's time for us to show them that, oh, we are not fools. We know what we are doing and all of that. So they want to bring back the template they use in the NSAS protest. And one of the caution they say there is that if at any point in time of this protest, a protester died or was killed or is killed, or a protester is maimed or arrested, they are not going to back down until the current administration and its cabinet step down. So you see, this caution is very, very important, because we have experienced protests in the past whereby people are on the street protesting. Another group will come from nowhere. We thought they are also suffering, but they will come and be protesting against the protesters. Now, as we are discussing now, as this protest is being planned, there are some groups that are not supporting this protest already. Do you understand? So is there any tendency that this kind of groups, or those groups that are not supporting the protest, will come against the protesters? Will they be mobilized to come against the protesters? And if they come against the protesters, what will happen? Someone will die, someone will be injured, some people will be arrested. So if that happens, what happens? Do you understand? So the people that are protesting have a responsibility. The government also have a responsibility to make sure that nobody dies and also nobody is arrested. The protesters must also make sure that there is no destruction of property. They conduct themselves orderly. And I think that's why they're saying there should be no smoke and no drinking on camp on their protesting ground or wherever they're going to stand to protest. There should be no drinking, no smoking there. Do you understand? Because this is also one way to checkmate the excesses of the protesters. So, but based on these demands that we have seen here, they are relevant. When we talk about fuel reduction in the price of the PMS, then it's also correct, because if you are buying fuel 600 and something thousand, 600, so 600 and something naira for 1 liter, and your minimum wage is 30,000. How many liters can you buy in a month? How many liters do you use in a week? Do you understand? So it's a challenge. So even if you say you use public transport to come to your office, how much the transportation has tripled? Do you understand? From what it was, and salary has not been increased in any way, and ways of generating income has not improved in any way. So it's a challenge. So they need to reconsider the fact that yes, if they say that, oh, the importation of fuel the landing cost of fuel is high and all of that, what stop them from making the refineries in Nigeria to work so that the petrol here can be processed here? The crude oil that they used to export, process, and then import back to Nigeria, why don't we process our crude in our Nigeria? We have 4 refineries. Do you understand? Why is that they are not working? Do you understand? So if you are giving us the excuses that, oh, it's because the landing cost of fuel and all of that is the reason why fuel has been so expensive and all of that, because the subsidy has been removed and all of that, that's the reason why it's so expensive, then we will say that you are joking, simply because the first thing you should have done before removing the subsidy was to make sure that the refineries are in the position of functioning, so that you can, even if there's any need for you to import fuel, at least you have some refineries in your country that are working, that can support the importation. Do you understand? But there was nothing put on ground. They just went ahead straight and removed subsidy without minding the suffering and the consequences of the people. So if the people are asking for the reversal of the price of the fuel, I think they are not going outside the box, because it's deeply on the people. The people are facing it. So if you take that kind of demand, I think it's not out of place. So the protesters are making sense. And maybe as we pick some of them to discuss in details how it affects people and all of that, then you see other, maybe I'll be able to say other things, but maybe we have other people that also want to say something concerning this matter. So let me just stop here for now.
Thank you, Ambassador Joshua Takule, for that thought concerning the demands of the protesters in the forthcoming August protests. So to our viewers, we have Ambassador Esther with us from the United for Peace Initiative organization. Ambassador Esther, if you can hear me, you're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much for granting me access to the program. United Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. Good evening, everyone who has share my perspectives regards to the forthcoming nationwide protests across Nigerian states. Okay, I would just say that peaceful protest is a fundamental human right, and there is a constitutional provision for that in Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution, freedom of peaceful assembly and peaceful protest. But at the same time, there is a limitation to that. The limitation to that is non-deployment of violence to the peaceful protest. So I'll just say that Nigeria as a democratic country guarantees such. And I know that in times of protest mobilization or protest movement, there are usually challenges or limitations to that. We've seen cases of protest arrangements whereby
Okay, unfortunately, it seems Ambassador Esther is having a little glitch in network. So as we proceed, Ambassador Joshua, likely she will join us soon. So we are looking at the demands of the protestants. A lot of people have come out to say, oh, these demands are actually quite unrealistic. Why other groups have come out to say the demands can be met. But there are situations whereby, presently, we are not seeing any effort by the government to actually meet these demands. So we are currently not seeing any efforts by the government to meet these demands. And we would love to know, because while you were speaking, you said that the demands are actually quite realistic and they are actually achievable. So we would love to hear from you. Do you think that this is something the government can begin to work on? Ambassador Esther, are you with us? Okay, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay, Ambassador Joshua, please go ahead and react to this. What do you think the government should do concerning these demands?
All right, like I said, Janet, thank you so much. Like I said, the demands are quite realistic if there is a political will on the part of the government. The problem we have always in our country is the commitment, all right, the political will to implement certain policies of government. You understand? Um, the people in government always consider their welfare better than and put priority on their welfare more than the welfare of the others. That is just the challenge. If it is their own who are in government, it's always quick. If the National Assembly want to buy cars for their members who are in the National Assembly, it's always very fast. If the executives want to buy cars for their officials, it's always fast. Do you understand? But when it comes to increase salary for the welfare of the other people, of the other citizens who are maybe working class, then civil servant, then it becomes a problem. Do you understand? It becomes a problem. Now, we have been talking about somebody, one of the House of Rep member was mentioning how much he earns in a month. Do you understand? They pay them rent allowance in a month, every month. Do you understand? In millions, which is a privilege a civil servant cannot have in this country. And then we are talking about 300,000 as a living wage. Do you understand? Is that too much for a country whose budget for 1 year is over 5 trillion naira? Is it too much? And then I'm asking, the question is, why are we budgeting over 1 trillion on for the Ministry of what do you call it, defense? You are budgeting over 1 trillion for the Ministry of Defense to do what with it? To go and buy arms, to come and kill who? People who you refuse to educate, people who you refuse to empower, people who you refuse to feed. Do you understand? So that is where you don't create a problem, then you go and buy guns to come and address the problem. The problem is that you have to sit and look at the problem you have created and solve it in a way that is better. So the money they are budgeting on the Ministry of Defense is too much. And that's one of the elements to show you that there's no peace in this country. Do you understand? There's crisis, there's problem. When you see that kind of budget for the Ministry of Defense, it shows you clearly that this nation is not a peaceful country. That's what is in the eyes of the international community. The budget for the Ministry of Defense is a clear indication that there's no peace in this nation, because that ministry takes the highest budget, compares to education, compares to health, compares to agriculture, compares to transportation, compares to any form of, I don't know. So you are there to also witness it, to see it yourself that what I'm saying is true. Do you understand? So on education, when we say public servant office holders should not have their children school outside Nigeria, yes, it's possible, simply because by so doing, our public institutions or our universities here can be strengthened. Do you understand? The universities are not being strengthened because the people that are way to do can send their children abroad and all of that. But you know, a child has the right to decide what he wants at some point. He decides to school here or school wherever he wants to school if the father has the means. The challenge is that once your father becomes a public office holder, there's a limitation on you. That's what the protester seems to be saying. that once your father, you have, as a child, you have the right for education, you have that right, okay, and you can have it anywhere you want it. But so far as your father is in government or your relation is in government, then you have a limitation. You cannot enjoy education outside the country. But many of our public office holders, their children are outside the country schooling, and then they don't give attention to educational system in the country. So what do you expect? So the education system is decaying in the country. Do you understand? The graduates that finish here, they don't have jobs. But those at school outside, they come here and then they get jobs straight. Do you understand? So what is happening? So when we don't cherish our own, when we don't value what we have, when we don't also pay attention to improve what we have, then how can it be better? How can it be compared with any? Do you understand? So that's the problem that we're having. So if the protesters are saying that public office holders should not send their children abroad for education, then they are not out of place. Because, but if the public office holders put their children in the public schools in Nigeria here, then they will make policies that will improve the educational system in our country and make it functional and make it productive. Do you understand? So that's what I'm talking about. Then we'll talk about living wages of 300,000. So if a House of Rep member who is also just one among, that is the first among equals, that is, he is also a citizen of this country. It's just that based on social contract, the people have just agreed and elected you to represent them there. And then you have for yourself per annum, you are earning over 200 million naira. Do you understand? Why a civil servant who has been a public office holder working for the country, making sure that it's work for how many years? Some of them for their 35 good years or 38 years or whatever. I don't know how many years they serve in the public service, but I think 35 years in public service, they cannot boast of 200 million. But in 1 year, one person is earning over 200 million. That is the one we know. That's the one they tell us to know. We don't know the other ones that we don't know. Because for so far as we are concerned, they say there's corruption in our nation. So the ones we don't know, we don't know. But the ones we know, or the ones the guy mentioned at the National Assembly complex that we heard, that we have seen, we have watched, do you understand, is over 200 million per annum. Do you understand? A civil servant who work to the point of a director, if we put his salary in all these years together, it's not up to 200 million. Some of them have retired so wretched in their own, they are just hopeless there. Nothing to do, there's nothing to fall back on. Because as a civil servant, they say you cannot do business, you cannot do anything. You understand? So some don't even have a farm. The farm that they can even do, some of them don't even have the land to plant any farm or do any business. Or don't even know how to go and do agricultural or poultry or animal husbandry or fishing and all of that. They don't have the skills. So they retire and then they are there like challenges that we're talking about here. So, but the truth of the matter is that if one House of Reps member, I'm not talking about Senator, House of Reps member can earns over 200 million in a year, then I think we have so much money. So if we can reduce that amount, let's say they are earning up to 50 million, then the cost of living in Abuja will also reduce. Yeah. And then that will also save like over 150 million to attend to other hundred and millions of Nigerians that are in poverty and are living below the poverty line. Do you understand? So we need to work on some of these things. We need to work on some of these things. So we can reduce, we are not saying that they should not earn what is due for them, but their earning is above the average, it's above expectation. Do you understand? Their earnings should be reduced so that other costs can be accommodated, because the recurring expenditure is too much. And so it's not helping productivity in the system. Yes, their welfare is our concern. They should live ways. They are senators, they are our leaders. They should not be looking like prepared, but at the same time, they are earning more than what is expected that they should earn. When we compare the earning of a Nigerian senator with other senators in other countries, you discover that we are earning so much. Do you understand? So yeah, we should
All right, thank you, Ambassador Joshua Tahule, for that. Ambassador Esther, you're welcome back, the founder for the United for Peace initiative. So we are talking about, we are discussing the August protests. We are talking about the demands, the challenges, and also the effect on national peace. We would love to have you, shed more light and let us know your view or hear from you. What are your thoughts concerning the planned nationwide protest?
Okay, I would just say that thank you for the opportunity to be granted access to the program. I'm just here to make some kind of list some challenges that are likely to be faced in protest and also some recommendations on how best to go regards to the protest movement. I would say that most times in protest movement that the government usually places restrictions like curfews or bans on public gatherings. And this is like a fundamental, like an impingement on a fundamental human right. I'm talking about the challenges that protesters might face and why government should not go about it in that way with regards to the protest. And police, on their own part, are usually using tear gas, using violent activities on peaceful protesters like tear gas, ammunition to scare away protesters. They do this as a justification to put security and safety in check, but not knowing that this also could cause casualties and infringes on human rights. And secondly, we talk about hijacking the protest. People go on to hijack protests. We saw the event of 2020 NSAS protest, whereby protest organizers had a sincere motive to effect change, mobilize Nigeria towards pressuring the government to effect, like to meet up with economic and social reforms. And what did we get in return? Opportunities we are like hijacking the whole thing, the whole protest. They made their way into bank firms and infrastructures to make away with valuable items. And we'll talk about there is this public perception about the protest. Like I'm talking about challenges faced by protesters. Public perception about protests, whereby some people oppose protests to be a way to mobilize for change and development in the country, while some people, on the other hand, see it as a potentially destructive and disruptive thing, thereby instigating the mindset of these irrelevant authorities to attack the protesters. So I also go about talking about the best practices on how to go about the protest. This protest has been named a peaceful assembly. We know it's all about meeting for economic and social reforms. People are demanding for change from the government. And the best way they can go about it is more of like advanced notification to the relevant authorities, like collaborating with the police security officials. These are people who are interested with the responsibility of preserving lives, public safety, and ensuring the enjoyment of human life. Once these people are informed beforehand, I think the necessary security measures can be put in place. Secondly, clearly setting their objectives. What is the purpose of the protest? What is the purpose of the protest? What is the protest trying to address? The objective, the expectations. This thing should be highly addressed. If the protest answers these questions, then the reason for the protest can easily be defeated and achieved. Thirdly, I can talk about non-violence. Since it's a peaceful protest, there should be much emphasis made on non-violence. This is a peaceful protest, and if violence is deployed, it's no longer a peaceful protest. And I think the protest has already been defeated, and it's no longer the purpose of the protest. And the best thing they can do about this is to go about ensuring that marshals are trained, to control overcrowdings and disorderliness in the process of the protest. And lastly, I can say that there should be collaboration between the relevant authorities and the protest organizers. We're talking about protests, and we know that in Nigeria is a democratic practice with regards to written, but in practice we used to see otherwise. So the best thing the protest organizers can do is to collaborate with these security officials with regards to the routes. What are the routes that are going to be allowed for protesters to use? The logistics and the timing. I have the police officials already threatening that once it's already 4 p.m. that the protest activities are to be suspended for the day. So these are the things we need to talk about. And the government on their own part should try to be responsive and attentive to the needs of the Nigeria. It's not enough to threaten Nigerians not to mobilize Nigerians for protest. The whole matter should be addressed comprehensively, and there are root factors to this complex issues causing for people to express dissatisfaction and resentment in regards to the present system. Ever since civil administration we've always seen protest movement, and these things are always a call for social and economic reforms. So the government should look for a way, a comprehensive way to address these situations, not threatening lives, not threatening protesters that they're going to weaponize security troops against the protesters. They're going to weaponize their machinery against the protesters. Why these issues have been calling for attention? The issues, the government should identify what are the needs, demands of these protesters. How can we look into it? How can we address it? We talk about lack of economic opportunities, and thereby there is inflation in price items. Like, people don't even have the basic employment opportunities to measure up to the hardship and economic reality of the country. So this is all about governance, is more of like accountability. The ruled and the ruler sitting down to have a conversation. If we cannot converse with the government, those that are ruling us, what's the essence of governance? Governance should ensure and enable accountability. A source of accounts, like the rulers should give us accounts on how far they've been able to manage public offices. They are to serve us and not to render a service to us as the ruled. So this is just it. That's what I think. My thought. These are my thoughts for the meantime, with regards to the planned upcoming August protest.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Esther, for that beautiful contribution. You spoke about the likely challenges that might affect the protest in the long run. And I also love the fact that you spoke about safety and security, which is one major concern, especially to protestants. If you go down to the street and you ask people, oh, are you going to join the protest? You know, they might say no because of the security challenge. We have learned from history. You made mention of the EndSARS protest, the 2020 October EndSARS protest, and how it later turned out the security issues and then the safety of the protestants were not actually guaranteed. So what can you say can be done to ensure that the protesters are safe, and also what are the ways that violence can be prevented, especially between the law enforcer and the protestant? How do we ensure that safety and security is being guaranteed?
Okay, I think I'm going to say there should be advanced awareness. Protest organizers to the security officials. Those people are the people that are entrusted with the responsibility of the enjoyment of human rights and protection of public safety and life. So I think when they are informed beforehand, they can ensure the security measures. Like, these are the people that it's their work. Like, they should not infringe on that responsibility, on the right of the protesters. And secondly, I should say protest objectives should be clearly stated. What are the this protest is becoming a controversial thing. Like, the reason for it is being misconceived, and when the reason for something is not known, abuse is inevitable. I think the protesters should go on the way they are creating awareness for this protest. It clearly sets the objective this protest is going to address, the expectations, the goals. Let the public know that the protest is not to take a violent form, because most times the security officials see protesters as people who have come to cause a crackdown in safety, orderliness, then break down in law and order and regulations. So there should be awareness ahead of time that this protest is going to address issues like this. We are demanding for social and economic reforms. We're demanding for things like this, and so that there will not be misinterpretation on what the protest is going to address. I talked about collaboration between the protest organizers and the security officials. With regards to the police officials are threatening that once the protest exceeds by 4 p.m. every day, that they're going to intervene in the protest. And you know what that means? When the security officials intervene in the protest, the protesters will definitely want to resist them, and it could lead to violence. So I think collaboration between the protest organizers, the law enforcement agencies, then can go a long way in ensuring public safety and prevention of violence in the process of the protest.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Esther. You also spoke about the government's response. We've actually seen it all over the place in the social media, where governors of several states are coming out to say there shouldn't be a protest. It's more like a government are trying to put restrictions, trying to say, oh, there's no need for you to go out to protest, and they are demanding for more time. They feel, oh, on this present government have not actually lasted well in office for us to start seeing results, and the government should be doing, the people should give the government more time, and we can see issue of the government trying to, create potential obstacles that would make sure that the protest does not happen. So how do you react to this? What do you think? Do you think these protesters should give the government more time, or the protest is actually long overdue and people should go down to the streets and then voice out their displeasure?
Okay, I'll just say that most people that I've spoken with regards to this protest, when you interview them about the government pleading with them for more time and for them to exercise patience, they will say that the government is trying to use a damage control, because a lot of awareness has been created for regards to this protest, and people are not willing to exercise more. A lot of Nigerians are suffering. Even the basic things, people cannot afford the basic things. People cannot afford the basic things, and in the system whereby there is injustice, there cannot be peace. It is only justice that can guarantee peace. People on their own part, they are ready to die